Deborah and Amy and Sandy and Laura and Becca. Thank you. Tricia, Mary Love and I were reminiscing yesterday about when you first came here. I believe you were a teenager.
Close, 24.
24? You came across very young, but you have grown immensely. Immensely. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning,
Barbara.
I spent last week, not this week that just ended, but the week before that, in Alabama with Edwene Gaines. And Edwene has been a mentor for me for over 30 years, mentor to me for over 30 years. I met her when I was in my 20s. And every time I go and hang out with her for any length of time, how many people have been at a workshop that Edwene has done? Wonderful. How many people have been to any of her events where you get more than a couple of hours? Exactly. There's a difference. There's a difference from coming in for a workshop, which she is fantastic and changes lives and somehow lights a fire in people that has them seeing the whole world different. And they go out and they go, wow, all of that happened in one afternoon. But for me, it seems like that when I make the journey to go and be with her for a period of time, there is something that changes in me on a very deep level. And it's not what she says, because I think I've heard every word that's ever come out of her mouth. And because of modern day recordings, I've been able to play it over and over again. But there is something about someone who really does know who they are. There is an energy, and it's transmittable. It's transmutable, but it's transmittable in that you can be with them and something changes in you. And so I've been with Edwene for many major changes in my life, and those have always worked out for the best. I didn't always like them. I didn't always like what I had to do when I left, but I've always had great things happen in my life after being with her. And just don't worry about it. I'm not having a dramatic announcement here. But she did kind of put me back into this state of, I really do know who I am. I know who I am. I have always known who I am. And I will continue to know who I am. And then she just asks these very simple questions. Someone over here, whether it's Robert or whether it's Sam, will you go over and just turn the little circle on that air conditioner up a little bit? Because it's set for August. And it's set so that the room will cool down. And I see people wrapping themselves up. And I want you to pay attention to me. So what she does for me is she puts me in a state where I'm not waiting anymore. And I don't know if you do that. You know, I know for me, I put 30 some odd years into ministry and I'm kind of sliding. Everything's going really well here and we're moving forward and my life is good and everything is going well. And then I don't know why I go and sit with Edwene because it's not like anything's wrong, but she gets that energy in my face like, really? Is this really all you want? Is this really all you're going to do in your life? What are you, coasting to retirement? Come on. She's 75 years old and still scheduling workshops and speaking engagements. And the phrase that she uses to do that I wanted to share with you today, and she says it over and over and over again. Anytime anybody has a story, some drama, trauma, you know, they got to get up and go and get an issue tissue, all of that stuff. Her question to them is always the same. What do you need to change within yourself? What must you change within yourself to have the life that you desire? And so I heard that over and over and over again. She doesn't let you get away with anything. It can't be the weather. It can't be allergies. Wasn't it interesting that on the night of the fire walk, I had one of the worst allergy attacks I've ever had in my life, so that I could gasp walking across the fire. It wasn't like it got me out of walking across the fire, and it was funny that while I walked across the fire, I wasn't thinking about allergies at all. It's never on the outside. It's always on the inside. And if there is any reason that we are not living the life of our dreams, it is always because there is something that we are holding on to inside of ourselves that is blocking us from the us that is waiting to emerge. The us, the greater us that is yet to be. We're trying to get there, but we stand in our way and say, no, you can't go. And so the question is, what do I need to change inside of myself so that I can go where I want to go, so that I can do what I want to do and be who I want to be and live the life that I want to live? And I offer that question to you today. What must you change? What must I change? What must we change as a community to live the life that we want to live? Because the only one stopping us is us. The only one stopping us is us. And I'll just share with you what came up for me is I've been kind of sliding. And I marvel at that because I'm really good at what I do and things are going really well and there is no big issue going on. I'm kind of waiting for John to get done with his presidency so he'll be back home. I'm kind of waiting to retire. I'm kind of waiting. And I thought, God, that is so unlike me. That is so unlike me. I don't like to wait. I'm terrible at patience. I don't want any patience. I want what I want when I want it, and I want it now. And I support you in having that attitude in life. If other people don't like it, that's their issue. Then they need to ask themselves, what must I need to change inside of myself so that I don't get mad at you? That's their issue, not yours. You get to have what you want when you want it, if you will be whatever you need to be so that you can have it. So I started looking at the things in my life because I'm sneezing. And whenever I sneeze, and I don't want to lay this on anybody who's going through allergies, but it's not pollen. It's not the pollen. It's always, for me at least, what am I irritated about? What am I letting get into me? What is restricting my open embrace of life through breathing? What is it that I'm resisting in life? Because if you ever say that it is the pollen, then you are forever at effect of pollen. If you ever say it is the germ, you are forever at effect of the germ. If it's the mate, the spouse, the partner, they own you and they will rule you. If it is your job, if it is your car, if it is the money in your bank or the government at the time, then you are not the powerful, creative, spiritual being that we say you are. You are simply a victim being blown around by the winds of fate, and you're going to smack into a tree at any minute. Robert Bitzer said, principle is up. We do not sacrifice principle even for special occasions. So I'm looking at myself, and you know, sometimes I have an ego, and I know this is going out on the web, and I know there's people all over the world that watch it, but sometimes I can feel superior to my colleagues. Sometimes I can feel holier and more advanced and clearer, and just the very nature of that means that I'm not holy, I'm not advanced. So I had to look at myself and say, what is it that I'm allowing about the other people around me to irritate me so that I end up sneezing? And what am I willing to change about that? Because that's the final question. What must I change about me so that I can have the life that I want to have? How in the world can I believe that there is only love if I'm feeling superior to someone else? Well, you know, when I was in ministry for only a few years, I didn't have it all together. It's been 33 years, and some would say I'm a slow learner. So where is it that I can find it inside of myself to see that I'm walking a mile in someone else's shoes so that I can have that sense of connection and oneness so that I don't have to sneeze. What must I change when I look in the mirror to see what I want to see? And I'm not talking about plastic surgery, although God is in the plastic surgeon also. What must I change in my heart? What must I change in my beliefs and my reactions? What must I change in my actions? What must I change inside of myself? And you know, everybody in your life is a clue, so if you're sitting there going, well, I don't know, just take a moment. What is it that is bothering you right now? And you can go ahead and say it's the person next to you, it's the person at home, it's the person at work, it's the person on the television, it's the newscaster or what they are casting news about or aspersions about, depending on your point of view. Remember, every news report is simply a call for prayer. It's a prayer request, and it's our job to go into prayer and to know the truth that all is well. So what's bothering you? Because whatever is bothering you is that part of you that is saying, I'm ready to grow here. I'm ready for you to let me go. We've done this for X number of decades or lifetimes, and I'm really ready for us to move on. What is it that we're willing to let go of? I think the first thing we need to let go of is our story about who we are and what life is about. One of my favorite topics in passages in the textbook is Ernest Holmes when he said, nothing is real unless you make it real. And so I'll add Barbara Waterhouse, so what are you making real? If everything really is spirit, and you have a story that is less than spirit is made manifest as every person, every position, every situation in your life, and that's not the way you see it, what are you making real? And what are you willing to change your story about? Oh, but it happened. I don't care if it happened. It happened in one out of an infinite number of realities. So you want to hold on to that one thing, that one story. They did me wrong, and I will forever suffer and struggle for that. Well, you can have that if you want, if that's your story. But what would happen if you changed something inside of yourself? What would happen if you changed the way you saw yourself? What possibilities might open up? That you don't have to have the future from that person who's feeling victimized. You can have a whole different future from the person that is being empowered right now. Wow. You really do get to choose. What is it that we are willing to change inside of ourselves? You know, the schoolyard bully is really the most insecure one. So I was talking to myself. I have great conversations with myself. I was talking to myself and saying, your need to feel spiritually superior can only come from a sense of inferiority. Really? Don't you ever feel holier? God, don't you just stand behind people in the grocery store and start critiquing their food? You know you did. Don't you ever hear some people on the news and say, how can they think that way? How can that state pass that law? How can we be so backwards? Well, if we ever feel a need to feel superior, it comes from a sense of feeling inferior. And so I have to look at myself and say, what am I so insecure about? Good God, I'm Barbara Waterhouse. I am fantastic. I have people watch me from all over the world every day. What do I have to feel insecure about? And what am I willing to let go of to be able to have my greater yet to be? Because I have a great be. But if I want a greater yet to be, then I have to do something different, which means I've got to stop looking at the world as different from me. That every person is a reflection of my consciousness. Everyone is the same. There's only one of us. We sing it all the time. And if there is really only one of us and there is no separation, then how can I stand apart from you? You can't. So I'm looking at this as not only my own personal journey, but I'm wanting to have our center have a shift in consciousness, which means we can't be better than the Baptists or the Catholics or whoever else there is. We can't be better than anybody else. We can't have a need to change people because they're perfect just the way that they are. What we can do is remember who we are and stand clear in that knowing. I love doing that treatment this morning. Thank you. Thank you for that, because I absolutely believe in the power of prayer. I absolutely believe that when we open up clearly to the presence of the divine, that miracles happen. How many people have had a miracle in their life? Look around the room. I absolutely believe that. And so that's the me that I want to stand in all the time, that God is right here and right now. I want to be able to move into that state without all of the internal baggage, which means I got to stop letting my ego run amok. That's hard for me to say. Because I really like my ego. I think the ego is a valuable part of the psyche, but I let it run amok. I do. And Edwina is so sweet. She's got those arrow eyes. Well, honey, what must you change within yourself to have anything be different in your life? So I've been sitting with that. I've been looking at that because it is so deliciously tempting to blame outer circumstances, isn't it? But you know, it's delicious, like when you eat something that you know is going to make you sick, and you eat it anyway, and it's delicious, and then you're sick. Sooner or later, you stop eating it. So what is so deliciously tempting about blaming the outer world, about blaming the people in our lives, the circumstances, our past, what we have created, what we have made up as a self-imposed limiting story about what we can or cannot do? If anything is possible, then anything is possible. And the only thing that keeps us from experiencing the infinite possibilities is us. And in order to avoid that and play a small game, we blame. Or we blame ourselves. Oh, I feel so bad. You don't know what I've done. Honey, I have been in this business for 33 years. I know what you've done. I've heard it all. I'm so ashamed. I feel so guilty. I feel so bad. That's just an excuse to hold on to something so that we can hold ourselves back and play a small game. And I invite you today to look yourself squarely in the mirror. Which step is that? To take a fearless moral inventory? It's like 4 or something? What? 4. Yeah, step 4. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, what doesn't work for me? What is keeping me small? What is holding me back? What is making me feel bad? What is closing my heart? What is keeping my health and my prosperity and my joy from expressing into my world? How am I holding myself back? It's not anybody else. It's not your body. It's not your finances. It's not your job. It's not your childhood. It's not your family. It's nothing. It's only the person in the mirror. That's it. And once you see it, then you've got the big choice. What are you willing to change? What must, I love that word, what must you change within yourself to have the life that you want to have? You got to let go of fear. It really is worth going for your dreams to fall flat on your face. I've done it many times. Go ahead and fall flat on your face. So what? Get up. Dust yourself off. And go for it again. If you do that, sooner or later, you're going to make it. But if you let fear stop you, which is then suppressed and projected onto someone else so that you can feel the world is too scary, it's too scary to go out and try something different, it's too scary to leave that person that you should have left years ago, it's too scary to go into your own business, it's too scary to have your outside voice come out, whatever it may be. If you let fear dominate you, then you will always stay wondering and wishing about what could have been. Because this whole idea about time is fascinating, and I'm almost done, so stay with me. This whole idea about time is fascinating because if there is no time, there is only the eternal now. That means that the past and the present all exist in this now moment. So there's a part of you that knows what your future is if you would only step up to it. And the way you step up to it is stop stepping down into the way that things are and always have been, and be willing to change those core ideas inside of you and those activities so that you can step forward and grab hold of what already is. It's not airy-fairy. It's here. It's showing itself to you. It's whispering in your ear. It's dangling the carrot of the joy and the happiness and the success and the wholeness that exists in some plane at some level. If you would only stop shutting the door between where you are now and where you are supposed to be by being willing to change within yourself that which holds you back. And if you do that, I guarantee your dreams will come true, your life will transform, and you will never be the same. And so it is.